Welcome back to I Am Athlete. Tonight, I am your host, Lee Doozable, with my squad, Auntie Chantel Trimmertier and Antoine Walker. And we have a great guest for you guys tonight.
Go.
On live with us right now, the swaggiest punter in NFL history, former all-pro punter, Marquette King. Marquette, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Just living it up as always, man. How y'all?
We doing good.
We good,
man.
nephew.
So let's jump right into it, right, man? I saw your tweet today. This is the tweet that you said. You said, "I'm done fighting. Fifth African-American punter in NFL history since 1920. All-pro, top 10 in all-time punting average." And honestly, I looked it up. You're actually tied fifth with an average of 46.7 yards per punt. Cheers to that. I'll take it. Is that a retirement tweet? What was that?
I wouldn't consider a retirement tweet, but I feel like I'm being pushed to in that direction. I don't want to stop playing. I love kicking the ball. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy doing my job and setting the team up and everything. And for some weird reason, with the resume that I've created, I'm not getting any sniffs, no anything. So I kind of feel like I'm being blackballed, blacklisted, whatever it is. And it's kind of like taxing mentally because you consistently work your ass off every day and putting in work and you just don't know. Just don't know.
Well, let's talk about what you also put on your Instagram story. You said, "Being quiet allowed people to create bullshit narratives about me. And I thought being quiet will get me another job in the NFL, but none of that worked. So I'm taking matters into my own hands. Now the info is officially coming from the actual source." So what did you mean by that?
Well, I got tired of people creating this narrative, almost putting an asterisk near my career, what I've accomplished throughout my whole career. And it's so aggravating. People want to, instead of people putting these articles like where I got let go from the Raiders, so all of a sudden it's this thing saying Marquette King has personality issues. And I'm like, how do people come up with that idea? People saying I got a bad attitude. Like people just, it's almost like so many different narratives out there about me. And I've just been sitting back, not saying anything. I've had agents that I've had before where they're like, you know what, just be quiet. I know you're emotional about it and it's aggravating, but keep posting these kicking videos, show that you're working. And I'm like, I'm doing all this stuff that they're telling me to do and it's not working. And we'll still reach out to teams and it'll be like, well, we're not interested, or he needs to get better at directional punting or blah, blah, blah. And it's just so aggravating. So it's like, you know what? Whatever people want to know about me, just to clear up whatever this fake narrative that everybody's creating, I'm here to clear it up.
Well, yeah, well, you had a perfect segue because you talked about getting released from the Raiders, and I think everybody has seen what happened between you and John Gruden. Why do you think you ultimately were released by John Gruden at the time with the Oakland Raiders?
I honestly have no idea. It definitely had to have been personal, I feel like, because when I showed up to meet John, I showed up with gifts for him and Rich Bisaccia, the special teams guy that was there.
Yeah.
And it was just weird. I showed up to bring him gifts, and as soon as I showed up, I was getting notified that I'm finna get cut. And I'm like,
wow.
What? And then I was hearing things before that, like where people were saying special teams coach just doesn't like the way he rocks before he kicks. And I'm like, okay. And then once I showed up to the office, I was notified that I'm finna get let go. And I'm like, I thought I just finished like third in the league this year. Like, what else do I need to do? So I was just confused, and it just made me so angry and just super confused. So that's why when I went to the Broncos, I just almost didn't want to play football anymore because, I mean, just to be honest, I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm a sore loser, dog. So like, if I get beat or if I get outperformed, even when I'm playing against another team, making sure I do everything better than the other punter on the other sideline and trying to set my defense up the best way possible. And it felt like I took a major loss when I got let go. And I got let go with no explanation, to the point to where if you look at the pay, the slip that you get after you get cut.
Yeah, I've gotten
the paper said, the paper said that I got let go for because I wasn't able to match the competition that was there. And it wasn't even another punt on the roster. So that's the part that threw me off. And I was just so confused. I just couldn't function.
So I just want to get some clarification on this. Rich Bisaccia was the special teams coach at the time. and supposedly that the excuse they gave you was he didn't like the way you rocked before you punted.
That's the excuse I heard. Yeah.
Wow, but did he ever confirm that?
He never confirmed it. I reached out to him through text and I didn't get a text back. And then the other time that I actually saw him before a game when the Broncos played the Raiders in 2018, he's like, "Oh man, you know I was busy," and I'm just like, "Okay."
Okay,
Wow.
we having this conversation, and so Auntie gonna bring it real, right? Let's keep it real, Marquette. Like, one, people saying, okay, you had personality issues. No, you had a personality.
Exactly.
And they didn't like
Yeah.
that. They didn't like the swag. They didn't like that you gonna run down, you gonna hit somebody, right? You're a poor loser.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody running that shit back on you. And
You feel me?
you know, in that league, it's the punters are supposed to be, you know, like the kickers, sit back and not any attention on the punter, not any attention on the kicker. And you brought your personality to the league that wasn't ready. And that's what's not fair. And you're sitting here saying, you know, agents are telling you, you know, keep posting these kicking videos. An all-pro kicker should not have to be posting videos on social media to get a job and to reinforce his resume. What you've already done should be your resume. And, you know, it's stuff like that that just makes me so pissed at the NFL because it's so just political and things like that. And I just say, you know, you just keep being you, period. And if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But don't shy away from your personality or change who you are for anybody at any time for any amount of money.
I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. It means a lot. It means a lot.
Now, Marquette, you were a guy, and I played against you twice, I believe. Once with Buffalo and once with the Jets. We both times we traveled out to Oakland. You were a guy like to have fun, man. A guy once the ball was down within the 10-yard line, you'd break out in dances, right? I remember vividly watching film and seeing you and Travis Kelce going back and forth on this horse dance, and you guys going at each other. So, I mean, do you believe that you were just a guy that was played the game before your time, right? Because literally, as soon as you got released and you went to Denver for a little bit, the NFL was all about celebrations, right? We got team choreographed celebrations. Guys are doing celebrations on their own, doing dances and things like that. But when you did it, was kind of like frowned upon. Like, who is this punter think he is out here having a great time? But the thing is, your performance was still great on the field. Again, tied 5th all time in NFL history, averaging 46.7 yards per punt. Like, to me, it shouldn't matter, to Auntie's point. It shouldn't matter if you're out there having fun as long as you're doing your job. So do you think you ultimately were, just too early? It was too early in your career. You were before your time because the NFL embraced celebrations literally a year or two after you couldn't get a job.
Well, I don't think I was before my time because, and like you said, I do like to have fun because life's too short. Like, something happened tomorrow where I'm in my deathbed just chilling out. I don't want to regret anything, any fun moment I get a chance to do. I honestly don't think I was before my time. And if you remember, it's another punter, one of my pretty decent friends. He's somebody that I talk to every once in a while. When I see him, it's always joyful and good to connect with him. But Pat McAfee, he would get praised a lot when he celebrated. And sometimes it was just kind of interesting sometimes where, because there's no way I was.
Go ahead and say what you want to say, Marquette.
Right. Well, I don't even know why we trying to say it. The punters in the NFL supposed to be white. We got this 1 out of 6 punters, and he's black, and he got a personality, and he talks shit, and he got some swag. Oh, we not ready for that in the NFL. Let's call it what it is. Yeah, exactly. Let's call it what it is. I'll say it. You don't have to say it because I don't need a job in the NFL. But this is the truth.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's entertainment sometimes when it comes from his direction, and it would be considered antics when I would do something. And I noticed that when I would just sit back and just watch closely. But like I said, I don't know, maybe it was just different. You know what I'm saying? Like, my swagger is different, and there's a lot of punters and kickers never played receiver. I played receiver, so I've been around, and I went to HBCU. So, and I even got approached by another punter that used to play for New Orleans, and he was questioning me about, why do you celebrate? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? So-and-so had a really good career. He's kicked for 3 years, and he had a great career. And I'm like, I didn't grow up like y'all. Like, I'm not like y'all. Right. I grew up way different. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you can't expect me to act a certain type of way. But the people that like me a lot were the people that's actually got a chance to spend at least more than 5 minutes around me. or
Right.
2.
If you if a team calls, I'm sorry, go ahead, Anton. Go ahead.
Well,
Antoine.
I'm probably going to ask the question you asked. I
I
mean,
think
you
we
still
all were about to ask that
right,
question.
right. I mean, you're still young, being 33. What have you done over the last 3 years just to keep yourself ready if that call happens? If you got to go kick right away, what are some of the things that you've done over the last 3 years to keep yourself ready? I think that's important for people to know where your focus at and how serious you are about getting back into the league. So, what are some of the things you've done to stay focused?
I've just been kind of practicing, just kicking and lifting weights. I also lift weights because I do music. So like, if I'm able to take my shirt off while I'm spinning, DJing on the stage or something, you know, you gotta have a nice little body. But
Okay.
also, like, you gotta. I'm kicking in a place to where I'm like, I'm in a place where if I got asked to go into a camp, I would need at least 2 weeks before I can get back to where I need to be. But like, I'm not going really ridiculous because, like I said, for the last 3 years, I've been ignored. And I mean, I've been pouring more of my interest into music a lot more than kicking. But kicking's like riding a bike, so it's easy to get back into that.
Mm. This is I Am Athlete. Tonight, I am your host, Lee J. Doozable, with my teammates, Antoine Walker and Auntie Chantel Tremitiere. And we're talking to all-pro punter Marquette King, the swaggiest punter in NFL history. Marquette, you actually just talked about your music for a little bit. Why don't you, break it down for us? Like, how did the music thing come about? How did you get really involved in the music game?
I was in the music world for a while when I was in high school, and as soon as football started becoming more serious, that's when I pulled back. I pulled back when I went through college and everything, did that, got to the NFL, and then probably like 2-3 years in, I would get so bored because, kickers and punters aren't, kickers, punters, and long snappers aren't around the team most of the time. So I had so much free time on my hand. I'll just get my laptop and just go in the room and just work on beats and everything, and we would just start slowly singing my way on my own tracks and everything, and started getting into it. And then now I got some awesome friends that I connected with. My boy Blue and my boy Aubrey Banks, like, they just doing a bunch of awesome stuff for me. And now I got music that streams on MTV, VH1, some of the streaming platforms. So it's just something to do that I enjoy.
So nephew, now, not only do we got to do a trick shot together with Auntie, right? But we got to do some music. I produced for Master P and No Limit when I was in the WNBA. And so I understand, like, having that other, second love. My question was almost on the lines of Mr. Walker. And my thing is, if I'm a GM right now, right, and I'm calling you and I'm saying, you know what, I want you to come to camp, but I'm gonna need you to calm it down. I'm gonna need you to white it down. Let's be honest. I'm gonna need you to calm it down. And if you can do that, you got a spot. What do you do? What do you tell me?
I can calm it down. It'd have to be a margin between me going to work, because now, since I've been sitting out, I see football as a job. When I first got into football, it felt like college. It was more fun, but like now, watching how everything has happened within these last 3 years, I see it more as a job. So now, if you want me to do that, it's a job. I'm still be the best at what I do, but it needs to be a fine line between me at work and me at home. I should be able to be myself, invent myself, be creative when I go home. But when it comes to me walking in that facility, I'll do exactly what you asked.
I got one final question for you, Marquette King, and it's kind of like Auntie's question, right? If a GM calls or a team or a special teams coach calls you, right, what do you want them to know about Marquette King, right? Because, again, we talked about it. People have talked about you've had all these antics. To me, they weren't really antics, right? You were just having a good time on the field. And I've seen some of your tweets, right? People were complaining about those unsportsmanlike conducts that you drew a few of those, right? And so talk about that first and foremost. And then, like, what do you want them to know about Marquette King to let them know that you're locked in and you're going to get the same guy that averaged 46.7 yards per punt during his career?
Yeah, the penalties, I mean, it's part of the game. I understand a lot of punters don't get penalties and stuff, but at the same time, it's not like I'm out here breaking the law. I'm out here enjoying the game, being entertaining and just being myself. And I don't know, I'm human. So people that have issues with the penalties that I've gotten in the past, like I'm not going to sit here and say I'm perfect, but at the same time, it has been what 4 to 5 years since those penalties have occurred, and I mean, people grow, people evolve later on. So the people that don't understand that people evolve are just, I don't know what to say. They just need to pray or try to think outside the box a little more, you know?
There you go.
And if I was to be the GM, I think what a GM needs to know, first of all, we just need to go to lunch, get a glass of wine, and just talk. And
I love it.
I think once they spend 2 to 3 minutes with me, it's over. Like they'll definitely love who I am, because it was coaches that came to the Raiders before that did not like me when they first met me. And as we sat down and talked and got to know that I was genuinely who I am, and I am acting the way that I've always acted my whole life, they're like, you know what? I like him. So, and I still keep in contact with some of the coaches that I had. So they would just need to sit with me at lunch or somewhere and just get to know who I am as a person, instead of judging me in the 1 minute and 30 seconds that I'm actually shown on TV versus a 3-hour game.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this though before we let you go. Marquette, obviously never met you, and hearing your story today is it resonates with me personally. I left the game not on my own merit. I was on the outside trying to get back in and then get in for a couple years. I took a buyout in 2009 and I chased it for 3 years, kind of like what you're doing. So I can understand what you're going through right now when that phone is not ringing and you're trying to do everything you can to get back in. So I just want to wish you luck in that process of getting back in. And I understand people need to understand how hard it is to something you love to do and it get taken away from you and you don't get to lead a game on your own merit. It's always the most difficult thing to do for any professional athlete. So I just want to wish you luck in your quest to get back in, and hopefully, you get that phone call and get an opportunity again.
That's right.
I appreciate you. Thank
Keep
you.
making that music.
Yeah. Appreciate you stopping by, Marquette. And again, man, good luck, like Antoine said. And there's no reason why you shouldn't have an opportunity to play again. Tied for top 5 in punt average at 46.7 all-time in NFL history. So, I mean, the skill set is definitely there. So I'm wishing you the best of luck. Thank you again for coming on and sharing your story on I Am Athlete tonight. Again, it's a safe space for athletes. We call this the locker room, and we just chop it up. And we appreciate you stopping by with us, man.
I appreciate y'all. Thanks for letting me get on and talk.